You are live. Um, all right. This is a cold open. Goodness. Where to start? New name. I've been playing around with pseudo Catholic in my mind for the last few weeks and decided now is as good time as any to take the dive, go with the name change. Yeah. William says Breaking Bad is taking over back. No, opposite. I'm retiring and all that. New management. We're gonna to probably do less of the little egg eye characters. No one never quite got the jokes. Very rarely did anybody get the jokes. So new strategies, new times. Spend this time trying to explain this process as best I can as I go through it step by step. Let's see. I had no time to prep. The puppies needed attention, and that ate up all my time. I'm only going to be here for about an hour to an hour and a half max, because I have to leave to do other things. But if anybody wants to come in and chat, that's good. It's been some sad and strange things going on the internet. I have no idea if anybody's doing anything else on the YouTubes. I apologize if I'm overwriting. I'll keep it short if necessary. If there's something better going on, I definitely encourage you to go do it or go check it out. That's that. Okay. The link. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I got distracted by something I saw on the YouTubes. Home. Where is my live stream? Looking for my. Have you seen the conversation that Paul had last? That was pretty good. Her name is Dawn. She's been on a couple live streams. Definitely worth checking out. Right now it's behind the paywall. Olson, welcome.
Oh.
Welcome to the new channel.
Same as the old?
No, it's going to be different slowly.
Okay.
We're keeping some old stuff, but there'll be a lot of new too. I want to be more constructive.
Yeah. Yeah. So so other than being more constructive, what's kind of the impetus thought behind it?
Impetus thought.
You don't have to have it.
No. It's kind of in the name. Yeah. Pseudo Catholic. It's pointing in a direction, but neither here nor there, and not necessarily even. People say, "Do you believe all this stuff?" And I could, in all honesty, I'll say, "No, but," and the interesting stuff is in the but.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So
tell me about
a bad arrangement of words. But it's yeah, I mean, so it's going to be an exploration of that. I also think there needs to be a little more there's detoxification of the of some of what's swirling around both adjacent to or outside of the TLC, but it's also some of it's leaking into the TLC, and so I think we need to push back against that a little bit. I'm hoping to have a conversation with a friend in the corner who has a channel And we're just trying to sort out a time when we can actually pull it off and do it together and discuss this in more depth because he had a brilliant observation about click culture and
Mhm.
how we exploit the suffering of others for the channels are kind of built on, and there's an audience for it as well for kind of uh, uh, both enjoying and uh, profiting off of the suffering of others
Hmm.
and the mistakes we make and the lack of mercy in some of that lack of grace. And so I think we want to bring more grace and more calm to it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'll probably back out some of the politics as best I can,
Okay.
but we'll see. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can. It's I'm I believe. Lord help me believe, kind of thing. I don't
Yes.
know what I'm capable of, to tell you the truth.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Is this
Well,
your
good.
first time on my channel?
I think I've been casually once or twice. I don't know if I've really
Popped
said
on?
anything.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
blurs. It blurs.
yeah, Blurs. We've been on Chris
Others,
Howard's once, and then
right?
we were both on another one for just a sec. Maybe with Ron. I don't know.
That
Anyways,
makes sense.
yeah.
That makes sense. You doing some cabinet work
I'm
or that
I'm
door
a
repair?
door, yeah, door repair. There you go. There.
Oh, it's an old door. Is that your
Ye-
house?
Yeah, yeah, we're preparing it to sell, so I
Okay.
gotta get it,
Okay.
gotta
I
get it all
like old
worked out.
houses. I lived in an old house. Our first house we owned was built in 1940, maybe even 1940. It was old.
Yeah, yeah, this is 1926, I believe.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's not my favorite. I'm not super handy mandy, and so
Oh, they can be a money hole too, a money pit.
yeah, yeah. And so we've been working hard, but we're a single income family. My wife has some medical issues, so she
Oh,
can't.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it is, yeah, it is what it is. So, um, so yeah, so it is kind of a muddy pit, and I don't like that about it. But
Yeah.
uh, but um, but yeah, I had a thought on the other day. Um, we actually were. This was actually going back a couple months to, well, maybe not a couple months, so once or twice, where you were on the with Chris Howard, and we had a little discussion because I had the idea, right, of like for the different political groups, and if you don't want to go down this, you
No.
can say no since you're trying to be less political, and I don't think it
Well,
is
we're in
political.
transition. We're gonna make the full. Yeah. It's this is the start. So yeah,
Sure.
go for it. We'll
Yeah,
we'll make it work.
I don't think it's too political. I think it's more Christian. I think it's like our faith. So, but I posed to you the idea, like, those who feel more inclined towards, supporting ICE and the immigration policies, they should be looking and praying for the immigrant people as much as they possibly can, and looking for ways to support the immigrant families, especially, like if they're being detained and sent to places, like setting up networks and going to those places, and um, helping them there. And I know that in some countries they already have some of that stuff, but just filling that out even more, making them more robust. And then for those people who are more inclined to support the immigrants and their families, they should be praying and supporting for the ICE agents, and trying to help them uh, feel, not judged, and even welcomed in a way, like um, treating them as you know if you're if
Human
you if
beings.
you yeah, human beings, and
Yeah.
a lot of them are away from their families when they're if they're being sent up there, their families are in different parts of the country, and so praying and helping their families. So whatever side of the spectrum you're on, the churches should encourage their congregants to pray and actively seek to serve the other side, um
Hmm.
and Your response kind of was, and I didn't have a good response to it because I'm a slow thinker. But it was like, well, that's going to be kind of hard, like especially with the detainees and stuff, like trying to set up networks for them, and because they're sending them to a lot of like undisclosed places that are hard to get
And they
into and things
shuffle them
like that,
around and all
and
that.
shovel.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so, but then I was thinking, I'm like, but we're the Christian church, like, you know, we have covert operations going on all over the world right now, going into places we shouldn't be going into and doing
Right.
things where people are trying to keep us out of. Um, Doing hard things is kind of what Jesus has called us to do. And so I don't know, I just kind of had that idea, and I hadn't
Hmm.
had a chance to kind of run it by you
I think
again.
overall, in principle, I agree. Um, and I suppose in part that's why I'm kind of moving towards the Catholics, just because they, as diverse as they are, they kind of do work to strike the kind of balance that you're talking about, and they have a lot of um, active outreach and care and support
Hmm. Hmm.
ministries.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
Um, and they do have their law and order wing, and they do have their social justice wing, but it's all under one roof,
Hmm.
and that's helpful.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think I guess by my actions, I am agreeing with you,
Hmm.
at least 90% of the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, how you execute it, I think what we really want to do is keep pressing on in on all authorities, worldly authorities, to restrain themselves, to act uh, with more justice and care and thought for their people and for the people who they view as opponents or enemies.
Hmm.
We're in a war now, right? I mean, we are in an actual war. It's not been
Hmm.
declared by Congress, but in every other sense, we're in a war.
Hmm.
So even, you know, um, so even under these circumstances, my prior position is, you might say, part of the Democratic opposition to the government.
Hmm.
I have to adapt that somewhat to the new circumstances,
Hmm.
because I don't want to. Uh, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I am a friend to the nation's enemies, right?
Hmm.
Um, Say in World War One, that had real consequences. Even World War Two, you get yourself all kinds of trouble.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you and
Haiti,
there are
California.
some, yeah, there's some real.
Yeah.
The government has some powerful tools at hand that it can use against its opposition, or against not against against its citizens who speak out against its policies during wartime. So, and I don't right now, I don't have any good reason to think that this mission is going to succeed as originally hoped. But I also don't know how bad it's going to be. So in some ways, I need it to succeed because I'd like this thing to be over as quickly as possible, and that would preserve people's lives and save infrastructure and the economy and so on. So
Yeah.
while I was whole, I would never have in a million years. I was just never, in this lifetime, can't imagine supporting this mission executed in this way. But here we are. And so, like you say, I mean, we got a lot of young people, Americans involved. There are people on the other end of our weapons involved. We got all the people who are having to cope with a spike in energy prices. I mean, it's just collateral damage every which way, and lots of ways to express our compassion. So I think you're right
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. That's a good idea.
my enemy is not the U.S. soldier, you know, or even the Pentagon or the federal government. It's, you're just back to bless those who curse you. Um, Pray for those who persecute you. You've just, it's, I think you're onto something is what I'm saying. That's a very long-winded answer. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. Um, so yeah, I think what did you just say? There was a really good point where I was yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to serve, to be compassionate in these times,
Mm.
you know. Um, but there's always that phrase, I don't want to. I'd hate to curse you with living in interesting times. But
Exactly. Yeah.
um,
No.
but as much as we pray against that, you're you're right. I in the back of my mind, you always think of something like that, but bringing it to the fore, you're 100% correct. Like there's a lot to be praying for and being able to show grace and mercy in these times.
Well, and the needs are phenomenal, and they're being caused by either neglect or recklessness, or just in some places just greed. I mean, like this one family I read about, they were a Venezuelan family, came in on trying to get in under refugee status. Husband, wife, I think 2 children, so a family of 4. They were in detention for 2 months. In that time, they lost the home they were renting, the contents therein, and apparently their life savings, which they unfortunately kept in cash, I think. And they're destitute. So they're released. They're back in. They're. This is the thing about this government, is it just does stuff, and then and somehow these people, then they're back in, and they now, where do you start? And that's where the church could come in, I think. And I would pray and hope, and I would, as Catholic Church particularly, for Latinos who are in that position, should are probably getting plugged into some support and help to at least get them back on their feet. But that's just, think of what that would do to you and your family, or me and my family. What a catastrophe. No money, no home, no clothes, no furniture, no car. It's all gone because the landlord either threw it out on the street or just took it in possession in lieu of rent. And I mean, it's hard to fathom.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and that's where we need to be, you know.
Yeah, and but if we're, unless we have systems in place where we can, well, the average person knows where to direct their money, there's that's where we feel helpless. We lack the, you know, either institutional knowledge,
Hmm.
knowing where those things are,
Hmm.
those organizations that are actively at work doing their thing. We haven't figured that out yet, or they don't exist at all, or they just aren't big enough, right? Because suddenly you have this insane need of surge of demand, because gas prices alone. I paid $1 more a gallon this last week from the previous fill up.
Hmm.
Granted, it had been a couple weeks because I hadn't filled up in a while, but over a 2 week period of time, I think I my gas went up about $1, and I can endure that kind of with a shrug. It's an annoyance more than it is, but that's food on the table for some people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot for us. Yeah. So yeah, yeah.
So
And
those
so
people
yeah.
are in need too. See, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
times like these produce just a swell
Hmm.
of economists call demand, but I mean, the
Hmm.
church should probably look at it more as need.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. or opportunity. Yeah.
It's an opportunity to give. If you got it,
Yeah.
give.
Yeah. Give.
If
Yeah.
you don't have it, you can at least work together. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's the kind of thing there you
Yeah.
could go to, so and so's lawnmower, your neighbor who their lawnmower broke. They can't afford to buy a new one. You share yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it could be as simple as
Uh,
that. That's a low cost kind of way to get through hard times,
yeah.
and you find opportunities like that. Um, and it's so
I call it OTSs, opportunity to serve.
okay. There you go. It works. I like it. OTS. Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah.
So you're selling. Where are you? Do you mind telling us roughly part of the country where you live and
So
where
yeah,
you?
yeah. So I'm in central Illinois, and then
Okay.
I got a job down in Arkansas. So
Oh,
I'm heading down to central Arkansas, Little Rock area.
all
And
right.
my family, so well, not my family, my wife's family is down there. They originally were from central Arkansas. So when we moved here, they all moved down to Arkansas.
So you moved to be with them and they moved to Arkansas.
Yeah, like they weren't moving away from us. They just were retiring
You don't
and
get the message. You're not getting a message here.
yeah, we're gonna move there. They're gonna go somewhere
We
else.
like a few hours between you.
So it'll be good to
Little
be.
Rock, interesting
Mhm,
town.
mhm. Yeah,
I've
yeah,
driven through it. Interesting. Oh
yeah.
no, and well, Little Rock is nice. Have you ever been to Hope, Arkansas, where Bill Clinton was born?
I haven't. Mm-mm.
It's pretty hopeless. It's exactly. It's it's a lot of the things they say about it. It's a rough town, man. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a town that needs help. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of that. There's a lot of opportunities there as well.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're moving to Little Rock, and then
Mhm.
what do you do? Do you mind telling us?
So working as part of in a lab, like as like a tech kind of guy, to
Okay.
helping facilitate their equipment. So repairing and replacing and helping come up with new equipment as they need it.
Okay.
Hmm.
And do you have a place already set for yourselves, or you going to sell this first and then make the move?
Yeah. So we through a huge blessing, we were able to get a bridge loan, and so we've been able to purchase a house already down there, and
Nice.
so we got to get this one sold now.
Yeah.
We
Kind
get
of
that one.
close escrow. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll close out on that and then move down. And as soon as we move out of here, they're gonna put this one on the market. And I kind of wanted to put it on earlier, but it was kind of a mess, and that's all true. But I was looking at the realtor. This is boring. So if anybody else is watching this
No,
live stream, they're
no,
gonna
that's
be
good.
like, "This is terrible." But it was just there weren't any other houses on the market in our price range, and so I was like, all you need is one person looking in our price range, and then we're gonna be the only one they got. But they decided to wait a little bit, so I think there's gonna be a little more competition, but hopefully it'll be a little bit better. Like you saw, I'm putting in the new door handles or the old door handles, and hopefully giving a little spit shine,
Yeah.
make it look good.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
yeah, it's s- uh, part of it too is it's the fit. People look at it and you just find what's your trash is somebody's treasure in some ways. You may look at it and go, oh man, I'm so tired of this old house. And some may say they just see potential everywhere. Or it's exactly
yeah,
what they want.
yeah.
So yeah,
Well, that's why
no,
we have it. My wife loves it. She loves the South, and so I've always said she's gonna be spending, 4 to 5 times more time in the house than I ever will, so she definitely needs to love it.
so she loves the new house or the old house?
She loves it both, but she
Oh,
loved
good.
she loved the old house. Yeah, she loves this one
Yeah.
we're in, so but she likes the new one too, so there's a lot of things in it that she didn't have in this one, so it'll be good.
Little Rock's a city. It's a college town too, right? It's got a
Mhm,
big university in it.
mhm, yeah, and it has a lot of medical,
Oh, okay.
Like all the major
That makes
medical
sense for the whole area, probably
for the whole
regional.
state. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a government town too, so you get a lot of state jobs.
Yeah. How are real estate prices there under those
Um,
circumstances? Normally that puts them all up. All those are all reasons for to spike real estate.
yeah. Yeah, they're all right. I mean, they're about equivalent to where we are now.
Okay.
Um, the big difference will be property taxes. So, we're in
Is that a
Illinois
high
right now.
property tax state?
No, Illinois is,
Oh,
and
Illinois is. Okay.
yeah, and Arkansas is a very low property tax state, and
Oh, good.
so yeah, we'll be saving a couple thousand a year on that.
Okay. And
So
you have kids?
yeah, yep, we got one boy. So
In public school, private, homeschool?
so right now he's in a public school, but we get a lot of financial aid and assistance for that. Um, and and then going down there, we're still kind of figuring that out. We're still looking in. So he's he's a very sweet boy, but he's not very like athletic, and so which is okay. I'm not one of those guys that's like pushing him that way, but at the same time I know the realities of boyhood, and so bullying's a big thing I'm worried for him,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
and having to go through that.
Elementary. Well, how old? I didn't. You were
Yeah.
going to say
Yeah, he's elementary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My wife doesn't
But you
want me
said
to give too
financial
much.
assist. You get assistance for public school.
Or private. So sorry, did I say
Okay.
public?
Okay. You said
Yeah,
public. I was trying. Okay. You meant
sorry.
private. No,
Yeah,
that's
I
all
meant
right.
private. Yep.
Okay.
Hmm. So,
Yeah. It's hard to say.
because right now I work in facilities where I just, basically glorified janitor. If I was in California, I'd be making $1 more than fast food guys. So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's well. Yeah. Don't get me started on our cost of living.
Well, that's where my family. I'm originally from Northern California. We talked about this a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, the Lodi area. So,
Oh, okay. I kind of remember that now.
hmm
Yes.
hmm so
Yeah. I think you're the only person I've talked to about Lodi. So I'm pretty sure.
me and Creedence Clearwater.
That's it. Oh, wow.
So,
Oh, good. God bless you. You're gonna do all
yeah,
right. You're gonna do all
yeah,
right. It's
yeah.
the keeping the wife happy is 90% of the job. Just get her.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just follow her lead. She says one thing. Okay, let's see. Let's try it.
Yeah, yeah,
This whole
yeah.
"I'm the head of the house" kind of thing. I'm the man. That's a path to destruction. Just be a man of one woman
Yeah.
and let her tell you what to do, and then all right, let's do it. You just be the muscle behind the
Yeah,
dream,
yeah, yeah. That's
and
what.
that'll
Yeah.
be you'll have a good time. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Public school, homeschool, private school, all be fine. House be fine. But you'll have family there, you said.
Yeah. So
That will
that's a
that be
big.
nice? That'll be
That's a
nice
huge
for you.
draw. Yeah. So her parents are there, and they're both still alive
I'll see.
and doing well. So and and then her brother and his family live down there too. And so my son will have some cousins. He's never lived by cousins before,
Oh,
so that'll be really good. And
yeah.
so
That'll boost your holidays. You'll have a make holidays at least easier, less traveling or stuff like that. And
yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah,
grandma and
just
grandpa will dote on him. That'll
mhm,
good to spoil him. That's nice.
yeah. Hopefully we'll get a few more date nights in there.
There you go.
Send
Right there.
them over to grandma and grandpa's for a night. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Oh, Marquez was born in Lodi?
That's
Wow.
what the man says.
Which one?
He's
Yeah.
he's been everywhere.
All right. Okay.
Oh, you know what? I just realized I got to change my handle. Hold on a second here. I just noticed
Oh
something.
yeah, you're still
My
Mark D. Parker. You're not
Yeah, I
pseudo
got to
Catholic.
fix that. I don't know if I can fix that now. Let's see if I can
Yeah.
fix that. What's wrong here? I may have to. This is we're in transition, folks. We're transitioning. Don't be scandalized.
Mark, were you so you're born there? Were you raised there? That's so funny. don't think I knew that. I feel like I've talked to Mark in the comments and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. We're not
Anyway, it
exactly the
doesn't look
biggest
like I'll just
metropolitan
have to
area.
turn off display names. And I'll fix it next time.
Just be an international man of mystery.
That's it. All of us are. You're just coming in. You're coming in nameless. This is your chance. Pull up your ice mask and come on in.
Yeah.
This is your chance. We'll rename this the Fly Under the Radar stream.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no, that's very good. That's very good. What's your what's your calendar? Your time scale for completing the move?
Yeah. So
What's your hope anyway?
we're next Saturday. So 1 week from today, we're gonna put the boxes in the van and we're gonna be driving down. So
Wow.
So, yep. But with that, I actually got.
You got to go. You got work to do, buddy.
We're going.
Feel free to come on and live stream your move as you're going. I mean, just we can just watch boxes move back and forth on your screen and talk around it. And so yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Olson. Take care of yourself.
Or nameless pseudo Catholic.
That's it. That's it. All right. Bye bye. All right. That was fun. Yeah. All right. Oh, Marquez. Welcome, Marquez.
What's up?
What's up? We're just trying out the new name and starting to trying to shift into a different direction a little bit of making the vibe shift and a little with a little rebranding, new name, little change up the a little bit of the mission of the channel a bit. We'll keep. I mean, they're still going to do the history stuff. That's still on course and all that. But I've got to figure out how to do the live streams. I've cut a whole bunch of them out. I'm taking them down for the most part, the old ones. And
why?
One, they don't attract. Frankly, they attract more trouble than good. They're
live streams. That's kind of I've got myself into a little bit of trouble on live streams.
That's the thing is people there, if you leave them up for a long time, the old ones seem to just be there to fuel malicious actors.
Really?
Yeah. And there's just they're very much of the moment. So I'm thinking what I may do is a policy of do it, leave them up long enough within, I've decided whether it's 48 hours, 72 hours, or a week or something like that, but then just take them down after that. I think Neil is going along something like that too. He leaves his up for a few days and they come down. And they just start taking private.
So do enemies just seek out their opponents?
Yeah. Like we had a bit of a, there's been some controversy in the corner and, or at least adjacent to it, and people, complete strangers outside the TLC, are like vultures, and they were.
I didn't even know there was controversy outside of people.
Yeah, I don't want to draw attention to it, but yeah, there's just, but it's just, but so I immediately just took that content private, anything associated with the controversy, took that private, and then, but then it made me think that, I've been thinking about the pseudo-Catholic thing for a few weeks now. I really like it. It's kind of an idea that sticks. It kind of fits the place I'm in. And, it's a chance to maybe breathe new life in the channel, which had kind of gotten stagnant. We're treading water, and it feels like in the last few months. So, it, so I just think, and then so this starting to go through all my old material and realizing how much problem it does pose to me, you know, the old live streams, which are so out of control,
Yeah.
because you just don't know what, you don't even keep, I can't tell you what's in there. I mean, I have,
Mhm.
I had well over 200 videos up, and I couldn't tell you what was in most of them because it's just too much. You know, I was there.
You know, I'm glad you deleted some, because there's some Houses of Woo that I came on and I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. So
The Houses of Woo are
And-
coming down, folks. So if you want to watch them
and-
now, and you really want to, because most of them are coming down. In fact, I could probably do it as we talk. But yes, it's
I've been like trying to work out my salvation with fear and trembling, but
mhm.
mostly it's just working it out with foolishness and doing it live on the internet where everybody can hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's a grace that you're taking them down. Not that I don't feel like I said anything too bad, but it's just like I don't want Judgment Day to roll around and God to pull up at YouTube. Like,
An old live stream.
It's like this caused someone to lose their faith because they saw you say this online. But
Oh, that's funny. Let's see if I can do download.
yeah, I actually came on because I heard Olson say he grew up in Lodi. And I wanted to ask him about that because I was like right around there. I grew up in that town.
When were you born,
And
roughly? How?
83.
Okay.
I'm going to be 43 in a couple weeks.
You're a young man still, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Looking less and less young every day.
Yeah. Well, the 40s, it does start to show a little bit.
Yep.
60 hits you, though, man. It's just like, bam.
Well, I was thinking, like, you know, you and PVK, I've talked to worse 60-year-olds. You know, I don't know. You guys seem like you're still pretty current, you know.
Yeah.
I see. This is just another thing of me putting my foot in my mouth on a live stream here. Saying,
No, you're not. You're really not. Okay, I'm trying to figure out why won't this do that?
I just hopped on, or I just started watching right when Olson mentioned Lodi, and then I had to go get some water. So, and he's moving somewhere.
Yeah, he's moving from he and his wife and son, they're all moving to Arkansas.
Oh man, not in Lodi anymore.
Not in Lodi anymore. Where, refresh our memory. Lodi where is it in relation? Is it the Eastern Sierras, or is that
No,
up
yeah,
more like?
no, it's in the Central Valley. It's south of Sacramento. It's probably
That's
about.
okay.
It's probably about 40. I never lived in Lodi, but I lived in Stockton, which is just south of Lodi, like 20 miles, and it's probably about 40 miles south of Sacramento, roughly.
Okay,
Um,
that makes
yeah,
sense. Along
and-
the 99.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Well,
I just
you
got
guys call it
something.
the 99 in Southern California. We just call it 99.
Okay, that makes sense. Is that
I'm in
is that the
Wisconsin
difference
now.
between all of us? Is that Northern and Southerners? It's the 5, and for us no. It's well, you can't just say 5.
Yeah, I-5.
I-5. You can say I-5, but you just can't say 5. You gotta say I-5. So
No,
I
we
take
just said
I-5.
5. We didn't have the definite article.
So that's the big distinctive between our accents.
That's what the Civil War is going to be about.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, I grew up out there. I've been to Lodi many times.
You still have family there?
Let's see. Well, my uncle used to live in Sacramento. Go visit him often, and I had cousins that lived in Lodi, but so much family has moved away. Even extended family just left. Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, Alabama. just everybody Exodus. I've got some cousins that still live in other parts of the Central Valley. But
Has
yeah.
there been a big emptying out? It just seems it doesn't seem like things ever just stop growing and shrink here. I mean, they might slow down because I was driving through there not too long ago. I mean, within months, there's still new construction going on. Cities are bigger than ever. It seems like Visalia and all that. I mean, it seems like
Yeah.
nothing's shrinking. But I know there's economic conditions are demanding. Water is an issue. Where to sell the almond crop is a problem now.
You know, it's weird because, like, my family's pretty conservative, so they always hated the
Yeah.
California politics. And so I was like, we got
Even when we had Schwarzenegger and Wilson and Duke Majan, those guys, they didn't like them.
It's kind of a different era.
For me, it's all in my lifetime, so it blends in.
Sure. I don't remember what they thought about Schwarzenegger. I think I wasn't hanging out much then, but that and the taxes, they say, you know, I guess, I don't know, but like I haven't been there in probably, I don't know, maybe since 2018 or 19, my grandfather's funeral. And it still seemed like there was tons of houses going up and construction. So it doesn't really seem like there's people, even if there's people leaving, because like my folks moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, and they said there's actually a lot of people from California that have moved there.
Mm-hmm.
However, I haven't really heard about California being empty, you know, so.
It just, net growth still seems to be, it's not shrinking. It had a couple of years where it looked like maybe net growth was negative, but it's back to positive again. It's not, I mean, there was a time when it was insane, right? I mean, 10% growth and all that sort of thing. I don't think we probably won't see that again in my lifetime. But
no, and also it's because like the way economic things are now, you know, you got like one guy that owns like half the almond trees and another guy that owns half the avocado trees. And it used to just be, you have a few orchards here, you have a few orchards there. And now it's like, from what I understand, it's like huge business.
That's a shame to me, the way they've centralized control of real estate and all assets these days. Anything that's got value gets aggregated into
it just gets subsumed and sucked up and into the, you know, I was thinking about it. Here's me. I'm glad you're gonna delete this later, but you know, like I follow some people on Twitter who are my friends who are like in favor of Christian nationalism, and I don't argue, you know, whatever. As long as I don't get into stuff, but when I was thinking, like, the reason that I am against Christian nationalism is because it would just become like a pedophilic insurance scam eventually, like everything else. You know, if it's like it just would get consumed by our economic structure and turn into something terrible. And I feel like that's what happens with everything. And I was reading something on Substack today. This guy is a good writer. You know, he writes interesting poems, and I guess he's written a couple novels. I don't know. And he said, nowadays, if you want to be a writer, you also have to be a business owner. Like they've sold us this thing, like you can be an independent artist, but you also have to do all this other stuff. And then it's
right.
Like with me, you know, I make music. I'm not even trying to make money off it.
Right.
But it's like I had spent so much money on these different things, you know, and it's in doing all this paperwork. And then you think about in the old days, to be a writer, if you don't get a newspaper job or you don't get a publishing deal, like you can't be a writer, you know. But now there's this thing like, well, you can have a Substack and you can get It's like, actually, that's just a scam too, because Substack's making money off you, and all these subscriptions. You're going to get an AI subscription that's going to make your social media, and it's just repeating the gold rush where the merchants are making the money off the gold, off the miners. Anyway,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The guys selling the tents and the canvas and of shovels and picks and coffee and whores and liquor, and those are guys who make the money
yep.
in the gold camps, mining camps.
I feel like the California gold rush, and then in that same area is where Silicon Valley is basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same thing for the past, 175 years. It's been going on, just like scams forever coming out of Northern California.
Scam culture.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it's and it's
I'll have to talk
Elon.
to Olson later. So sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, you guys will have to get together again. The Elon his net worth right now is over 800 billion. So he is seriously closing in on $1 trillion, which is more than most countries, of course. And you can, and the thing is Tesla paid no taxes on its revenues. I mean, taxes were generated along the way, obviously, through sales taxes and things like that. But it, as a corporation, was able to dodge taxes. I mean, the way these guys, they get to that level, the way they avoid paying taxes on their income is they on paper have no income.
Yep.
They just borrow on their assets.
Yeah, they write. It's like when you get to that level, the taxes get paid to you.
Yeah.
It's like the middle class and the upper middle class pay the taxes.
Yeah.
And they all go to the I hate the word elite or whatever. Rich doesn't even.
It doesn't
start
even
because we're rich. We live in America. We get to eat, fresh fruit every day. It's
globally.
Like rich, but these that level, it's like, you'll hear them say like, oh, I lost all my money. I'm totally broke.
Right.
Yet they still have a private jet and they still have a maid and 10 cars, but I'm broke, and that's because I don't know, you get to this certain level and it's just nothing can touch you, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and you can't, people, I'm a raving leftist because I think there are ways to lawfully tax them and capture some of that wealth and redistribute and break up I think even, I think it's extraordinary power in the hands of a few individuals. And it's half the country's wealth can fit into a hotel ballroom kind of thing. I mean, it's insane concentrations of wealth. And, but people argue with me about just the idea of it, that you shouldn't, and it's like, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to convince you. I'm not an economist, it's like, I've seen the arguments for and against, and I think they're reasonable to say, yeah, let's do it. Let's aggressive. I think Bernie's right. I think we can safely do this, and not wreck the economy. They'll make it difficult on us, of course. They'll punish the economy for us trying to tax them.
Yeah.
So when they have that much wealth,
they punish Bernie.
Absolutely. They punish anybody who wants to go after their wealth, and they make it easy for those who let them go scot-free and, grow their wealth to $1 trillion. But So so people have to be determined, and there has to be a kind of buildup of popular sentiment to go in a direction. And when it comes to this level, it's probably a kind of what would you call it? The kind of energy and concentration of effort that FDR managed to rally during the 1930s or into the 1940s, where people just say, we're going to endure this. Or in the Civil War too, Lincoln, the Union, people just crossed a Rubicon there, in a sense, where they just said, we're going to endure whatever we have to endure to finish this thing, right? And to get it sorted out. And I think that's what the kind of will we need, because they'll punish us. They'll make it really hard.
Happen now.
What now?
I don't think any movement could happen at all.
It's possible.
Like, I think that any type, like, if there was any leader who actually had a plan to improve the way things are, that they would either be canceled before we ever heard of them or assassinated. And I'm sure some have been, and it's not even that there's I think there's like some one monolithic or one powerful organization. I just really think that, the lawyers have created these tax and revenue algorithms so that nothing can take it down. Like it's just it will integrate any type of resistance into itself and sell it back to us at this point. And the only thing I'm hoping for is that things don't get totally dystopian before I die, maybe my nephews, but I'm kind of out of hope, like for any type of populist or grassroots or any type of movement or any leader, even if he was a FDR type. I don't think it could happen.
There may not be a secular solution to it. No, I think you're very much right.
I mean, I don't know
something more powerful than that.
Well, I'm thinking about learning Chinese and just getting my flag and waving them in, like, come on, take over.
The problem is they got their own problems. They can't. They're going to be drowning in their own problems soon enough if they aren't already. Although other than the violent oppression but we have all the same features of their state at this point. I mean, we're freer to talk like we are here, maybe, but without consequences. But we have the full on surveillance state stuff is in place now. I mean, it's been ramped up. It was bad in the previous 3 administrations, but it's been ramped up even more so now. China? Say again.
Do you mean here or in China?
Here. Yeah. I mean, we are moving closer towards them. I mean, the way we are governed, the way we are surveilled, it's virtually not indistinguishable. It's just we still have an independent judiciary, so we don't know. So much of it depends on how the Supreme Court weighs in over the next decade on all this stuff. So I think if there's hope there for that will be freer. But if they basically say, this technology can be used against you in the way it is being used against you, to at least say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, show up at the wrong place at the wrong time. We're to a place now where you get profiled and tagged and they're not even using warrants now. They're buying data on us on the open market. That's a fun one.
Yeah, it's
how do you like that?
Our data is probably like bought and sold by AI stockbrokers to each other,
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Yeah, bundled. But they just but so instead of going to a judge and to try to get a warrant as they should under the 4th Amendment, they just They just buy it as a custom. The federal government acts as a customer and simply buys data on you, and because it's there, it's there to be bought.
Right.
And there's nothing written in the Constitution that says they can't be a customer in that way.
And I mean, the funny thing is that it's not completely our fault. However, 15 years ago, if I would have got an app on my phone, I think I got a smartphone maybe 12 years ago. But anyway, if I would have got an app and it said, can we access all of your photos and everything? I would have said, absolutely not, you know? But now it's like any app's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Because if I don't, I can't use all the features. So
Right.
yeah, do whatever you want, whatever. You can have everything. You can have my bank account, you know. It's like everybody else has it, you know. So
Yeah.
and then I get these letters in the mail like, oh, in October of 2021, all of your personal information was compromised. It's like, okay, well, thanks for letting me know now, you know.
Right.
Your social security number, your credit card number, everything. We suggest you freeze your credit. And it's like, I've already done that. I already did it with the last letter I got. So
Right.
it's so crazy, like how everything is just digital now. And I don't know. It's insane. Well, isn't that a great comment? Well, it's crazy how everything's digital. Everybody's glad they tuned in for that one.
As we talk over a digital medium.
Yeah.
The thing is it's one of those problems that you have to go through it to get out of it. And you have to go through the troubles to fix the troubles, or at least address the issues. I think I do still think that, assuming we survive the experience, we're moving overall in a direction. Well, I can say this. I think by faith, my faith says that we're moving in the right direction, even when it doesn't look like it. So I can go with that. I don't have any good empirical reason to say things are fine one way or the other, good or bad. But the faith says otherwise. And I think when you talked about, looking for another FDR or someone like that where we could coalesce for a period. And, but see, even that didn't last very long. It got through World War II, and before you knew it, things degenerated pretty quickly, really, when you think about it, because we went right into the McCarthy era, post World War II, and by then 10 years later, there's Vietnam, and the '60s, and all that. So the consensus was pretty not great. So we need something better. And I think that's where the church and a revival of sorts of, I think we have some hope there. I think that's the kind of thing that can push against this, that can get, not the kind of religion we have now that's very polarized and politically oriented, but one that says this is how people should be and organize themselves as a society and act with integrity, and this is what we expect, and that there could be. I can imagine a completely new era. The first church, when the church took over Rome, they changed Rome. Did I lose you, Mark?
So now you're fighting for Christian nationalism.
Yeah, in a way, I guess you could say. But I don't know what it looks like. I don't think it looks like this. I don't think it looks like Doug Wilson's vision.
Nick Fuentes.
Or Nick Fuentes. I think, what I see is like I'm moving towards the Catholics right now, and I'm like going, I don't know if I can have it within me to do it, but I'm moving in that direction. And I'm not doing this in a way to say that I want you to be Catholic. But I do think that there is something to us all reconciling the old differences. And we may not be able to, not everybody can be under the same tent, but the tents can live in the same neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? That we
Yeah.
can function collectively for the greater good with a mutual respect around a certain set of ideas and values.
hmm Yeah, mhm. I mean, yeah, Christianity is good for everybody, except for, except for the emperor.
Yeah. It did reform it though. That's what I'm saying though. It
Yeah.
didn't reform it perfectly, but it did reform it. I mean, I think there's good reason to think that it probably extended the life of the empire overall. Because remember, it came to power in a sense. Constantine, came to power in a civil war, so they were already at each other's throats. It was a 3-way or 4-way civil war, and he slowly took control. And at the simultaneous to that, he saw the church. I don't know if he was cynical about it or if he was, it was part of his process of conversion, but the church came along for the ride.
Mhm.
And as soon as that happened, the empire lasted another 100 years that it may not have had. And
I don't know too much about it. I listened to Dominion, and I've heard some history here and there, but I don't know too much about it.
Well, the West lost control. The West had its other problems in the East, but like as William is saying, it lasted 1,000 years in Constantinople. But go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. It just, you didn't know if he was serious about it or something like that. And I mean, how many of us are like pretty much serious about making a leap of faith, and then some superficial event pushes us over the line?
Yeah.
There usually is going to be some self-serving motive in it, even in a genuine conversion. But I don't know. You know what I mean?
No, there's something to it. I mean, if you get healed, like you're saying, if you get healed, you're not going to stay healed forever because you got to die of something. But that experience will, and if it was under a certain set of conditions, you're going to maybe find yourself camping out with that group that healed you, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Vice versa too. I guess it works. If you're injured, if you found yourself on the wrong side of a horrific church scandal, you're probably going to find you're going to look for another place to live. Unfortunately, this is why the church has to get, always be vigilant about its integrity, because we drive people away in the same way that we pull them towards us, because as you say, people do act out of their own experience and self-interest.
Yeah, it's in where I grew up, there was no language of healing modernly, and I don't even think you have to be a charismatic to believe in healing, but you got to have some type of healing theology. It doesn't even have to be miraculous, but you got to have some type of recovery, so to speak. It was like I had dinner Midwestuary with Orthodox priest Father Breeson, who grew up in Churches of Christ, who was a
Oh, yeah.
Church of Christ minister,
Okay.
and that was interesting. And he actually was on one of Neil's estuary streams,
Really?
and I clipped it because he was saying that when there's like a young possible catechumen for him, he'll take a lot of time talking to the kid, like, well, what do you want and what are you dealing with and what's going on, in your life and in your heart and everything. And I don't know if that stuff is really addressed in a lot of other churches. And that stuff is really important,
Hmm.
A lot of churches is just propositional, to use the phrase, rather than personal. And I always thought that was quite interesting, that rather than getting into, well, what does this say and what does that say, and it's like, no, what's going on with you? That's a pretty good,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like, maybe I know I have a skewed view, and once again, I'm glad you're going to delete this in the future, because sometimes when I read about Jesus, he was just like, he was not impressed with anybody. People are like, oh, wasn't Jesus just a nice guy that, just told you to love yourself? It's like, not really,
I've often wondered what would happen if I met Jesus, this, the historical Jesus, right? One, I thought he probably wouldn't like me, and I'm like thinking, I probably wouldn't like him. What would happen then? Don't ask for what things you shouldn't ask for such things.
Right.
It's like because I'm probably so stupid that I wouldn't like him. That'd be horrible. What if I'm that?
Yes.
What if I'm that evil?
I am.
It's very
that's
possible, my friend.
That's a pretty honest thing to say. I mean,
Very possible.
There have been times when I haven't liked my own idea of Jesus.
Well, isn't that what we're doing most of the time? Is we're worshiping our idea of Jesus, not the real one. We're worshiping what we want, what makes us feel good. I mean, then there are times though when it gets real, and
Judas knew the real Jesus.
That's true. That's true. But I think there are times when I think the Jesus, the real Jesus, the living Jesus, breaks through our imaginations and our willfulness and sin, and that's when interesting things happen. But we're idolatrous and selfish, so my guess is it's a constant struggle on his side, from his perspective, and so this is probably why we shouldn't. This is the whole business about don't judge lest you be judged, because he already knows the outcome of that equation. We're our instruments are flawed. Our capacity to evaluate others, even ourselves, is inept. So
yeah, we
should act with that in mind. We still have to act. We're not to be helpless in the world, but we do the best we can, but do so with an awareness of our own limitations, and be humble about what we got, be humble about what we bring to the table, I guess,
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of pseudo-Catholic too. This is all part of the new channel, the rebranding.
Pseudo-Catholic, huh?
Try to do better.
I used to have this friend, and he was quite a bit older. He's probably in his 70s now, but he was like, yeah, one time I took mushrooms and I saw all the evil in the world.
Oh.
That's what he told me. And then I don't know, recently I was thinking about because he would tell me that often, and he wasn't like a guy that you would think was a drug taker, but He was a pretty normal, square guy. But anyway, later I was thinking about that. I was like, there's no way you could see all the evil in the world and live. There's not a, I don't know if there's a way you could see all the evil in yourself and live.
Right.
Because one time when I was doing a fourth step of the AA 12 steps, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, I had a panic attack that was so bad I thought I was going to die. And just because I got a good, clear glimpse of some of the evil in myself.
Yeah.
And it was bad. And so on that happy note, gotta get going in a couple minutes here.
Yep, I'm got to pack it up too. Thanks for keeping me company. And on this,
My pleasure.
The inaugural live stream for the under the new channel, under the new management. So we're getting
The Vatican.
Vatican's taking over. Vatican's taking over.
Oh man.
But yeah, don't worry, it's all good. Everybody's gonna be happy. It's gonna be. I'm excited. I really like. I mean, yeah, you can't. There's people say about some things. What I'm finding. I go to the mass. I remove that definite article. I go to mass. Talk like a Northern Californian. I go to mass, and I'm still trying to figure out what everybody's doing. I don't know what page they're on. Still trying to figure out what page we're on in the book, and but it's
Yeah, they got
full.
books in there. They got their own books going on.
They do. They got stuff going on in there, and
I go to mass a couple times a year.
And the thing is the place is pretty full. I mean, they have multiple services in 2 locations, and when you go though, in some ways it does remind me of the some of my Buddhist experiences, where you kind of have people all over the place, kind of having a unique experience. And some people, it's all just a party. They're there, they're with their family. Some there are clearly it's just a habit. They're dressed up for Sunday. It's their families that they're having a family time. But then you have these individuals who are kind of tripping. You can see they're having serious spiritual experience there. They're before the service. They're like a couple times I've seen this happen. Young women it's usually women, females. That the young women will have their veil over their head and they're on the kneeler and they're looking up at the there's a large cross with Christ hanging on it at the very front of the sanctuary, or the very end of the chapel, or whatever you call it, and they're having a moment. I mean, they're having a moment. I don't know what they're doing. They're having a moment. I think I don't know if you were on the live stream when I mentioned there's these little side cubicle areas towards the exit. I'm sure they're called something. I don't know what they're called. There's usually a couple candles lit, and there's some things on the wall around it. But on one of these little cubicles, there's like a glass box in which a full human size figure of Christ, after his death, in repose, laying there, like a sculpture, a bit crudely
Laying
done.
down.
Yeah, laying like he's dead. This is the body of Christ right there, right? This image of figure of Christ. And there was a little old lady there, I don't know, last Sunday or Sunday before. And she's kneeling and she's got the veil over her head and she's having a moment. Meanwhile, these people are filing out, making all this, they're just filing out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were told to file out quietly right now, I think, because it is Lent. So they want things to, everything's according to the calendar. So I'm learning about that. So things weren't really loud, but you still had a couple hundred people filing past this little old lady, nobody thinking twice about it. And I'm like going, this is interesting, because you don't see that in a typical evangelical Protestant Church of Christ type of congregation, where people are individual. In Pentecostals, maybe, but it seems like it's very segmented into the time. People are kind of, this is when you have your Pentecostal experience at this time of the service, and this is when you do this, and then you know, I mean, it's
This is where you speak in tongues. This is where you get healed, and that's
yeah, it's more orderly. There's actual mystical. There's a mystical element in this, in and around the mass, that I just don't see anywhere else. I'm like going, but like I said, it seems to remind me more about what I've observed in other settings that are not necessarily Christian, and it's fascinating. And I don't know what everybody's doing, like I said, but I am coming away from it a little more at ease, a little less angsty.
Did it make you angsty at first?
Puzzled a bit, like why am I doing this? I don't really need to do this to myself.
What, change denominations?
Yeah, do it this dramatic of a change. I mean, this is a change. This would be like it's
Yeah.
like it's a radical change.
But I mean, you've been making lots of changes over the past few years.
Yeah, my whole life I've adapted to circumstances and changed to manage the bipolar or whatever. So and then I've had multiple, lots of spiritual experiences over the years. So yeah, I mean, it's true to form, but it seems like this is kind of the end of the road. It either works or it doesn't work. I mean, on the other hand, I can flip it around where I've said, like before, if I don't, I've said that I think that, if there is no purpose to the schism, why are we maintaining as Protestants, all the institutional apparatus that was built by and that fueled the schism at the beginning anyway? The Protestant Reformation is over. It did its job in a sense, because if you believe that there are true Christians in the Catholic Church, and that and that it is a truly Christian church, I think you have to pause and say, well, why am I opposed to it? But flip it around too. Can a Catholic look back and say, at the Protestants, are there true Christians there? So I think you can have the same kind of argument in the opposite direction. So to me, in some ways, I'm still making the restorationist move in Barton Stone's vision. His vision was more Protestant oriented initially. That vision, that dream he had in and around Cane Ridge
Well,
Revival.
they didn't have many chapels out on the frontier of Kentucky.
There were hardly any churches, of any kind, and there were no Catholics.
That's why they would just get together in the woods and.
Exactly. Yeah,
but,
it was.
But
yeah, and he brought in everybody. He brought everybody that was there to be had. He brought, right? Methodists, Baptists, Presbyterians. Go ahead.
There probably were Catholics there.
A few, probably, but they didn't.
I don't know. Like the stuff you're saying, yeah, I wrestle with that a little bit, and I've wrestled with it quite a bit, as sometimes these questions. And I think I mentioned to you, I was talking to a very conservative Church of Christ preacher, and he said, it's either us or the Catholics.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
And I thought that was interesting, because he's one of these guys who really, like, right straight down the line, knows every jot and tittle of the perfect doctrine, and one true church,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's almost like you're kind of in the same line of thinking that, well, if it is us or the Catholics, and the Catholics are saved, then why don't we just be Catholic? And I just, it makes sense, but I don't know. I feel like that's simplistic to me. you know.
Yeah,
And
well, yeah,
did you,
it's not for everybody.
did you see Cal on Ron's House of Blue the other night?
Yes, I
Cal was
caught. He
Cal
was
Cal
great.
was making a hardcore Catholic appeal.
I think I wrote in the comments he was carrying a lot of water for the apostolic succession. He was definitely making it. He's been at it for a little bit longer than me. He's actually a true Catholic.
Well,
He's
he's still pretty new too.
Yeah, he is.
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I think he is too. I mean, since he's been fully initiated.
Yeah, and it's like, even though I think I could defend most of the hills I would die on, which there's a few, you know. Like some of these guys, like, and then there's people like in the Discord, hardcore Catholics, that are, so I probably know the Bible better, but these guys know philosophy. That's the thing. Like a strong Catholic apologist will rest on like philosophy and then kind of make the scripture fit the philosophy. And I look at some of, and I don't know, and it's like, do I need to know philosophy? And then the kind of argument is like, well, look, I've read this philosophy and I've read 50 books about how you can't understand scripture, so therefore don't worry about it and just be Catholic. And it's like, that sounds kind of like gaslighty to me, you know, because
Yeah.
even Irenaeus or Ignatius, like one of the earliest fathers, like knew John or something, like he was saying scripture is understandable, you know. And so, because and that's one of the biggest like, because I enjoy Catholic Mass sometimes, but one of the biggest things for me is like, I just love a good old fashioned Bible study, you know. Like the liturgy is cool and everything, but there's actually some really good Bible students and teachers that have great insights, you know, and it's just a whole other, it's a whole different shoot, you know.
Well, see,
so-
it would be idiotic of me, in my opinion, to tell PVK he needs to be a Catholic. That would be like the dumbest thing about the dumbest move I could make. But there are people out there who are going to say, why aren't you Orthodox? Why aren't you converting to my thing, right? I converted to this thing. It's the best thing. It is the only thing. And there are Church of Christers who'll look at Calvinists and, I mean, I know them. They're fire-breathing haters of Calvinism within the Church of Christ. And that's the devil, right? And they have the same attitude towards the Catholics. And then I'm sure they're Catholics and Orthodox and vice versa. It goes all the other way, right? You need to join us. And this is, I mean, it's just I think there's a great line out of, I think it's 1 Corinthians 3, where Paul talks about the bickering. And it's about the law. It's a section about the lawsuits where they're suing each other, you know, and he's condemning them for taking each other to secular, you know, to local royal courts or whatever they called them under the empire, but taking them to court outside of the church, taking each other to court. And he said, you're defeated already before you even get there. The fact that you're in this state of division, you're defeated already. And this is what I'm trying to address within myself. So I've got to go. I've got to follow Christ where I see him for me, but then recognize that I in some ways I see him better in others than I see him in myself, because I sometimes feel quite godless, but I definitely see God in people like PVK or a lot of you guys out there, and it's easier for me to, in some ways. And so, and I do also, in a similar way, I don't know them personally, but I have really high value. As far as Christian leaders go, the last group of popes from John Paul II, the ones of my adult lifetime, I mean, I can't think of better Christians in some ways. I mean, under the circumstances in which they had to do their jobs. You know, I mean, I any of those guys I would follow compared, say, to some of the Christian leaders that I run into in Protestant land. And it's a much sketchier business. And it makes me wonder, well, what's in Catholicism today that makes such fine Christian men? And then I ask, well, I've asked around, well, I asked one, I won't name him. I asked another CRC pastor, I said, are all you guys like Paul? And he laughed and laughed and laughed. It was a hard no.
Well, yeah, I was watching some more of your interview with him today.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting and I didn't know anything about CRC. Never even knew it existed till I heard of Paul. But in the comments, Phlebas said he didn't know what Churches of Christ is. And I don't know if that's a troll or what. Because I feel like Phlebas probably does know who
Is it a uniquely United States phenomenon?
What?
Churches of Christ, Restoration and Movement.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, that's a question for me to explore, and for my project, right?
I mean, there were the Anabaptists in England, 1500s. Shared a lot of the same beliefs. A lot of the Albigensians from the 1100s, not the Cathars, the based ones. That's a whole.
He says not a troll. He doesn't know. They may not be up there.
I wasn't trying to call you a troll, Phlebas. I just didn't know if that was a troll comment because
the United States is, because of the British thing. I mean, the Brits were there longer, I think, and they just religiously, it's a slightly different vibe. I mean, particularly like those 19th century denominations that rose up out of the Second Great Awakening was American in that way, Yeah,
I feel like we were going to go, and for me to start on this, it would not. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I think like Churches of Christ, as we know them in America, is an American tradition, but I think it's very arguable that it extends further back.
Too, though, even though it may not have made it up north in the parts of Canada, on the other hand, it's probably bigger, and we've talked about this before, I think, you and I, it's probably bigger in South Asia, Africa.
Yeah, India.
Then India, it's huge in India. Then in the United States, that's where the growth is for it in some ways, because those people are on fire. And at this point, I've got to do a hard close because I'm 15 minutes late.
All right.
This is good talking to you, Mark. Enjoy it.
Yep. You too, man. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. God bless everybody.
God bless you.